Hey guys, welcome to episode 29 of the Atlanteans. I'm Jay. I'm here with Alec and Joe. How you guys doing?
I am doing well. I am super happy to be back and to chat with everyone and, have an awesome episode.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here on the new year. I feel like I should have like a third podcast that is initiated after you two initiate yours. Um, kind of go full meta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm
definitely.
painting I'm painting Brine Bloods this month, so I'm back on the Warmachine train. I painted the Lakabash brothers, and I got another unit of Marauder crew just in time for their Mat 6 update.
Mm,
So
Nice.
pretty
I mean,
sweet.
they were Mat 6 before. You just will lose gang.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, that's the right way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Their gangless update.
Right.
They're good little guys.
Yeah, but I think they're still like solid even without gang, or at least that's my thoughts.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
They won't be as
They
guaranteed a god unit, but yeah, I think they should still be fine.
I will say the models have like really grown on me as I've painted a second unit.
Mm,
It's awesome that there are like 10 distinct models and they like have a bunch of character. And while they're all carrying too much crap, like
yeah.
it's really nice. I don't know. It's nice to get like, even if you had to paint 4 units to have 10 distinct different models. You wouldn't, it's not like some old fantasy thing where you're painting the same thing over and over again, right?
Yeah.
There's some variety, which is bad for the army painter, but good for like the painter in me, if that makes
Dude,
sense.
wood elves. So many wood elf archers. Just
Mm-hmm.
blocks and blocks.
And not like one post, right? Like
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I
It
think there was
was
like two, maybe, but yeah.
maybe,
oh
yeah.
yeah, there was the one with the arms out and then one with it like close to them. But yeah, it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
Though
Really,
at the same time with 10 different models, I mean, yeah, there's variety, but God, they're so complex. And so
oh,
the Wood Elf archers you could, do 20 or 30 or 40 of them at a time because it was just the same little bit of detail. Yeah, you'd eat a little bored, but there wasn't so much detail that you were overwhelmed.
absolutely. I mean, you can see why I think painters are drawn to this army, and it's because they want the fun of painting all those 10 models.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't even imagine trying like a speed painting scheme on this stuff, right?
Yeah. And,
Like
I mean,
they don't even have the same weapons. Like
yeah,
they're all over the place.
the nice thing about that army, I agree for that purpose. There other armies, other of the Mark IV armies, like for example Winter Corp, the um, the basic infantry guys. There's 10 different sculpts of them. Um, so there's variety there, but at least the Marauder unit is actually like a unit you're going to put on the table. Have a lot of them on the table. The Winter Corp
Mm-hmm.
infantry, you're going to maybe run one unit max, or you're going to spam a bunch of them and they're just going to die real quick and they're just going to be like cannon fodder. At least the Marauder Corps, you're actually going to want to play with or 3 or 4 units of them if you have that many painted.
Yeah, absolutely. They're the heart and soul of the army. Everything is designed around them. So
Which is unfortunate
I need
for a
to
unit that dies so quickly. At least they're
I
at least
yeah,
they're
really
all
it's
do need
tough.
tough.
to get these gravediggers painted, but I want to actually sit down and do everything with it. But they have the same thing where it's multiple units
Mm-hmm.
or multiple
Mm-hmm.
like every single guy is different, which is going to be great.
Ugh,
But yeah, that's
such a
going to
headache
be.
to paint.
Oh, dude, I don't know if you've seen my gravedigger list. I mean, I should share you. Like, there's a lot of infantry. I mean, don't get me
I
wrong. If I
haven't
run
actually.
Vargas, if you run Vargas, you don't run as many. It's Jacks. But I really like the
Yeah.
idea of infantry spam. Will it be good? Probably not. Will I play it? Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love
I'm
it.
really interested to get some Gravedigger spoilers. I don't think we've gotten any yet, have we?
We
We
have
have
not.
not.
Yeah.
Well, we've gotten one very tiny one, or
Which,
an implied one.
which
It
is
seems likely that the small and large crate will get the inconsequential rule, and so they'll no longer participate in scenario.
okay. When did
Okay.
who spoiled that? Was that the thing that was on that Jamie
I think it was in
spoiled?
the article, but it may just be
Okay.
speculation.
I think
So
it's
maybe we don't even
speculation.
know that.
Yeah, the only thing we know
So here's
about
the thing.
inconsequential is that it's on models that are created by others.
So here's the thing. I get where maybe crates should not affect scenario.
I was even where they did, to be honest.
I thought they were. That's why they had
I
to put
mean,
it on it.
I don't know. I once again, I've never actually faced a Gravedigger player, so
They definitely are scoring or at least contesting models right now.
okay.
Yeah, I thought they were contesting, which is a big thing, and that I don't. As a person who's played Gravediggers, I feel like they shouldn't because no one's in the crate.
Right?
Like you drop a jack down, okay, but the crate is a crate. It's not like you're dropping
Yeah.
in a quartermaster with the crate and he's handing stuff out. So that would
Your
be
medical crate
hilarious.
shouldn't be contesting stuff, right? It'd be
Yeah,
funny if there's a person in it, right, and pops out and start bandaging you. Yeah, then maybe.
a little gobber just he sits there and just starts, putting everything on. See, that would be fun,
Hmm.
but I don't think that's what's happening.
I think that would be a
You're
cool
not dropping in a
conversion.
medic.
We haven't seen a lot of gobbers in Mark IV, have we?
No,
I'm still holding out for the gobber faction.
yeah.
Oh dear. I'm afeared. I've got the fear of it.
Oh, you would love it.
I
I don't know.
will.
When I'm done with this, I'll have painted 2 units of Marauders, and I think that's like kind of the perfect amount.
Mm-hmm.
Probably won't do any more. They're fun to
Or
paint though. I've enjoyed them.
you could do
Nah,
4.
it's a lot of work, and I don't know if it's good. I don't know. Plus, they're
Have you come
not.
around to Kithgard?
I mean, it all depends on what they do for my frog boy. Like, if they make Boggity Bomb sweet, then maybe. I never say never, right?
Man,
Yeah.
But I do think the rules, like the Trapper rules and things they previewed, are cool. Like that row. If it is truly like guerrilla warfare style fighting, like I think that will be neat. That could potentially be very neat and very high like skill maybe to put on the table. So we'll have to see how it comes out.
yeah, yeah. I think that they've gone above and at least with my little bit that I've seen, they've sort of gone above and beyond with the update. So like originally they were just like, oh, we're gonna just add add a couple rack spells to each caster, but like casters that only had 2 rack have gotten as like many as 4 spells. So
Oh
I
yeah,
think
and
it's
spells that aren't even remotely related to their rack, right?
yeah. I mean it's crazy. It's and like ability updates and it's crazy how some of the stuff that some of the spoiled models have gotten, like Sakura just is like night and day a different model now. I mean, yeah, she's still defense 14, armor 18, and will get shut off the table, but she
She
actually has
feels like
a
what
threat range.
all the like all the fans of gosh, what are those things called? All the Manowar fans, like she's like the caster they've wanted forever, right?
Yep, I'm painting her right now actually because of that.
A true Manowar caster
Yeah,
in
and
the
like,
best of the tradition.
man, did you guys see Anson? Is it what's his name? The Signar
Wolf?
casters updates. He just got like 3 spells, but it turns the basic caster up to like level. The one of the guys from the business was already like harping his amazingness and flexibility and assassination aspect already, and they just like turned him up to 11.
Well, here's the thing. We might think it, but we really need to see what it actually happens on, once he hits the table and once people play. And just like
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Gravediggers, people can do some crazy stuff with it, but not everybody can because just like with some of the Brine Blood, if you don't know what you're doing, like
yeah,
on turn to turn or a couple turns ahead, it doesn't matter if it's an awesome guy because you're still going to get stomped.
yeah.
Like if I were to try to play Brine Bloods or Joe plays Brine Bloods, there's a big difference.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know. I mean, I was I'm pretty scared of. We don't have a. I mean, I guess Cookie plays Signar, but we don't have a regular Signar player. I would be scared to run into him regularly, I think. But yeah. All right. So I think we talked enough about the update. Is there anything else about the update we want to mention?
I have a hot
spoilers?
take, but maybe we want to save it for the end, or do you want my hot take now?
Let's do your
I
hot take
want the
now.
hot take right now. Full
Okay.
tilt. Go.
Let me put down the paintbrush
Uh-oh.
so I can
Wow.
properly
That's a
hot
really
take.
powerful
Oh
one.
wow. Okay.
Okay, so the community's been like super positive about all of this, which I think is like really commendable and really important.
Yeah.
But I think there's a good chance this turns out to be like a little bit of a shit show in the medium run. Like I think the game is actually in a pretty good state right now. And from what we can tell, they're just flipping all the switches, right? Like
Yeah.
everything is changing. Tons and tons of changes are being made. And I think it's just there's a good chance that it comes out the other side and it absolutely needs some refinement.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's going to be incredibly fun for like 2 or 3 months. But I feel like there's a good chance that some real nasty, unfun stuff accidentally makes it into this, or that the balance just doesn't end up very good. So,
yeah,
that's I don't know if that's a hot take, but I think everyone, I'd buckle down and prepare for stormy times ahead, at least, over the summer and maybe the later part of the spring.
Yeah.
Bold of you to assume I'm a good player and it's going to affect me in any sort of positive way. So
in any sort of positive way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that vein, I will agree with you. I think that the thing I'm worried about is that they have sort of talked a little bit about Legacy, but I don't think they're going to touch Legacy enough, and a bunch of stuff that with all this defense skew and dropping of Matt and Rat and stuff across the board, I think there's going to be some crazy like Legacy combo that pops up that's going to have to get nerfed like mid-season.
Oh yeah. Legacy could definitely come out way stronger than that.
Especially if they
at
don't
the end
if
of
they
this,
don't
right?
touch them that much.
Mhm.
Like
So what you're saying is Krios 2 is going to come back and just beat face?
Well, I mean that's possible. I was listening to Matt, one of our locals, has started doing like daily YouTube uploads, and he's over 100 right now, and he's talking about trying to run. And is one of his recent ones. He's like trying to run retribution and how like some of their threat is not especially if they don't touch this. Some of their threat is a lot more aggressive than a lot of what they've talked about bringing the Mark IV armies down. So like, even though the powers aren't going to be like super high, like some of the stuff we've seen, like a lot of their army has like range 14, threat range 17 kind of stuff. That if they don't also tone them down in this update, they're suddenly going to be really, really, really scary for a lot of armies. So, like, even with the Sakura update changes, the majority of the threat ranges for this army are only going to be like 10 inches. So, with Mana Wars and stuff. So, I mean, right
even
now
with +2 speed, they're only 10 inches.
So they're speed 4 base. So
God.
they go to speed 6, and all of them have range 1 weapons, and they don't have any way to extend that. So on a charge, they're threat 10. And
I was sure that made them 12.
No,
that is
no,
hilarious.
No, it took them from 8 to 10. Yeah. So they're still they need to take a hit and then counterattack sort of an army.
So more hot takes. If they're successful at toning down the lethality, we're just going to see way more death clocking. right? Games are just going to go longer.
Yep.
You're going to have more models on the table. You're not going to score as fast. You're going to see more death clock resolution. So I think that is like a thing that will probably happen, which is not necessarily positive.
I mean, one possibility of how they're going to counteract that, and I agree that that's a worry, is that they're talking about increasing the amount of scoreable stuff on the table. So like, there's a mission that's going to have 4 flags. I mean, they said in the update in the preview there's a mission that has 4 flags in SR 2026. There's a mission that has 4 medium objectives in 2026. So like, and all that stuff is scoreable by units or scoreable, and now like solos and casters are only going to score 1. So I think that the ability and the amount of stuff you're going to have to keep track of in 2026 to score, there could be a chance to have like big round swings. So maybe they are counteracting that the longer clock play kind of play like you were talking about, and the more models on the table by having way more scoreable elements, and so there could be bigger swings in scoring. I don't know though.
Yeah,
That's going
that
to
could
be
absolutely
interesting
happen.
for gameplay. I mean, that was definitely happening last year. If you worked it correctly, you were seeing these scores just jump up, and you'd be like, okay, well, I got, 5, 6, or they would double score, and then their opponent double scores, and then you're ending up with like 14, 15, 17 points, and you're just like, this is
There was a
wild.
couple games that went up to like 30 to 27 or something like that at the end.
Oh, at
Yeah,
WTC?
I've played those games.
Yeah.
See, those are interesting because, like, you really feel, like you said, the swings of it going back and forth. And I mean, some people probably really like that because it keeps them invested in the turn. Like, every single turn, it keeps you there.
Yeah. And then my last one is, I think people have absolutely forgotten about List Chicken, and List Chicken is coming back with an absolute ferocity when they get rid of the rack.
So hard.
And SKU lists are coming back, and like,
yeah,
I love that idea though. That makes me happy.
I know that people like, I agree with like the SFG's criticisms of the rack, right? But the thing it bought us was like, I don't think getting rid of the rack is necessarily going to give you more caster diversity. Like, I don't think in pre-rack times there was that much caster diversity anyway. Like, the good stuff is good, right? But at least they all won't feel the same. You'll get caster identity, but I think the prices we're going to see some like SKUs are going to be absolutely a thing you can do.
Yeah, I would love to see like maybe 3 casters of faction be emerging by summertime as being the like strong ones for a faction. And for factions like Orgoth, that'll be a huge change. But at the same time, like, who knows if that's going to be if that's a reality or not?
I think it's still going to be 1.
You think so? You think?
I think most factions are going to have their favorite caster. Yeah.
Maybe. It's possible. I don't know.
All right. So, paint team. Because that's what we talked about.
Yeah. Okay. That's enough.
You're painting.
Yeah,
that's enough.
I've been wanting to talk about painting for a while. I happen to be two brush blending as we're going.
Okay.
And I'm not doing it well.
You want to discuss? So in that vein about painting, do we want to just like talk about, because originally this topic had come up because as the second half of starting a new army kind of a conversation, but I think all of us are sort of in the vein of we're either painting an army that we've had for a while, or going back and updating models or finishing models from an army that we've played previously for the past year or more. I mean, like, I'm doing Winter Corp, which was my primary army for 2024. I've started painting models for that again. There's also, like, the 2-player boxes came out all last year, so people were getting additional models for their armies that they might have had for a while. So, like, what exactly do we want to talk about? Or do we just want to sort of generally talk about how to approach getting an army ready for the tabletop or finishing it or things like that?
Well, I was just going to talk about just brute forcing it. Like you can just go through and make it happen. You don't like not everything. Like I mean, you and Joe are beautiful painters. You guys have an amazing skill level, but not everybody has that. Like everybody, like out of a rank 5, like 1 through 5, most people are probably a 1 or a 2. And I think, sometimes you have to just, get it done. And that's, I think, one of those things. Like, don't get me wrong, do I two blush blend or do I try? Absolutely. But sometimes you just got to paint. Also, with the detail we're getting on some of these models, I think hitting it with a black, hitting it with a zenithal highlight or a dry brush brings out so much detail that if you then just two thin coats and, go through on certain areas and you hit some points and don't hit some others, for a first sweep for doing, a 15-20 minutes per model, you can get an entire army painted pretty quickly. Especially if you're trying to get that new model or new army ready for the table.
So Joe, do you do a zenithal? Because I have an opinion about zenithal that I've tried it in the past. But what do you think, Joe?
So I do a zenithal, and I do it for a couple of reasons.
Okay.
I think the most important reason is because when the model is all black, I can't see the damn thing. Like, I can't see what the details are. Like, I find it hard, like, visually to see, and so, like, a zenithal helps me understand, I mean, blah blah blah, where the light is coming from, but like also like just what all the like bits and doodads and things are. If I do it, I'm less likely to come back to the model later and be like, oh, that was actually his foot. Or I mean, that's not the kind of mistake you make, but like it's like, oh yeah, that was actually like, his like spyglass. That's not like, you know,
It's his
yeah,
kneecap.
Oh my God, it's a
Mhm.
fish, not a grenade.
Yep,
Yeah.
yes, exactly, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
and I mean, I absolutely struggle with that, and so Zenithal really helps with that. It helps you know where to put the light, which is helpful. And I mean, I do a lot of contrast paint kinds of things, and so those techniques really love a zenithal. They absolutely do.
Yeah,
So
so I guess because I'm more of a traditional painter and I don't do a lot of stuff with contrast, like Zenithal absolutely benefits of contrast paints and painting with thin colors and stuff like that. But I I just my paint style is um I put on like a mid layer, and then I put in some highlights, and then I put on some shadows, and then I put in some more highlights. And so like I find that Zenithal is a little bit of a waste of time for me, just because none of that Zenithal color makes it through. So like
yep.
just before New Year's, like right just before Christmas, actually, I was painting some of the new Orgoth box, and I tried doing a colorful Zenithal, sort of like how Ninjon has done in some of his videos, and like I used a purple as a dark color, and a magenta, like a blue purple as a dark color, and like a magenta red as like a top color, and Zenithal the whole army before starting to go in. And when I've painted one model in the army so far, and you don't really like the Zenithal like doesn't even show up. Like even there's maybe a little bit of the color in the deepest recesses of the model, but for the most part, I basically cover the entire Zenithal up, and it feels like it was a waste of time.
Yeah,
But
I can absolutely see that.
that could also just be my painting style. I do
I mean,
agree that
I think you make a good point, right? It's useful to the extent that like the rest
yeah,
of your painting process takes advantage of it, right?
right. Well, yeah. So the other detail is that it sounds like you guys both paint over black.
Yeah, I was gonna ask
Yeah.
this one.
So I paint
Yeah.
over gray, which I find is the best of both worlds. So like a white model, you can see a lot of that detail, but it's hard to cover and you don't get as much depth and shadow in the recesses as you do like a black color. And so I find gray is like the best of both worlds. I get that depth that I want in the shadows, But I also can see the details and see without having to do a zenithal. Usually.
Yeah, I like black because I hate having to go in and fill in the shadows.
Yeah, yeah.
100%. I agree with that. That's
Yeah. I mean, I do paint over black sometimes. I've painted over red. I've painted over green. I've painted over blue. So, just in my opinion, I think gray is what I like. But that is for the individual to decide, I think. And you should try when you're painting your armies a lot of different things. And like, if your army is primarily red, it might be worth spraying the whole model with one of those red primers, and then going in and doing the metals and the detail and doing a wash maybe before going to the rest of the model.
I will say I think also the zenithal with the shaky hands, like the tremor I have,
Yeah.
I think being able to hide sometimes a mistake. So if I'm coming over, I can do it. And with the black base, I think I can hide it a little bit easier. If I make a mistake, I go too far or something. Whereas if it's white, I think it's going to stick out a lot more.
Yeah. Well, I just have that problem in general. Like, looking at this model I'm painting right now, I've definitely... So, like, I just painted a unit of the melee mana wars, and I went way too high on the black armor, like, highlighting it up to a gray. And so I had to go back in and wash the color black down to black. And so I think that's just a natural... when I highlight, I tend to go too high. And so I cut the contrast out and have to go back in and, like I said, put shadow back in effectively.
Okay.
So I definitely agree that there are approaches to doing that, and having a base black is helpful, especially if, like, for example, Richard, who has been on the cast before, who played Orgoth and then switched to Brian Bloods, and now will probably play Pharaoh when he comes back from his deployment. But his Orgoth, like, there was a bunch of detail on a bunch of his models he just didn't want to paint, and so he sprayed them black, and then just did basically like a
black is incredible
dry
for
brush,
that. Yep.
And then just like washed everything a color, and then picked out the details he wanted to paint, and left everything that sort of base dark, because it allows the model to you can blend that stuff in without having to necessarily go into the higher level of detail if you don't want to.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too.
Yeah, is that and Zenithal gets you a little bit of both of those worlds, or like a white, yeah. But I agree with you in general, Jay, that it's definitely not a mandatory step in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it really comes down to your style and how and what you want to get out of the painting. If you want it to be sort of fast and you want to use a bunch of contrast colors, a zenithal is absolutely the way to go. But if you're just going to like cover all of it up with additional paint, it might not be worth the time. And you might want to try a black or try a light gray or something like that primer where you can see that detail without having to do the zenithal on top of it.
Or start with like the red, like you said, like.
Right. Exactly.
When I airbrush the blue from my trolls, and it gets all over the place, and I just don't even worry about it. And it creates like interesting colors when I'm adding contrasts over it. Like,
yeah,
you can get some really interesting things that just kind of by accident and just kind of roll with it.
Well, by accident is like the secret of being a model painter. Is like, yeah, I meant to do this, but the two colors blended on this edge, and it created this cool shadow or this cool color line. Yeah. And then I tried to replicate it and couldn't, but it looks awesome for
I was gonna say that's one of those things.
It looks
like,
awesome for the couple of models that I screwed up on, that I did not screw up on with air quotes.
Yeah, can I now do that for another 10 models and make it look beautiful?
Yeah, exactly.
So when you guys start a new army or a new painting project,
right?
How much color wheeling, color theory crap do you guys do?
Probably way more than I need to. But yeah, I do a bunch. I have a lot of color theory has been a thing for me. I've even taken college classes on it in the past.
Wow.
And, well, I mean, so I wanted to be an artist when I was younger, and so like I have a lot of art class sort of background, and that comes with like painting classes and art classes and stuff like that, is you have to sort of understand color and understand how it plays together. And I really do believe that one of the biggest things that a young base painter could invest in if they want to get a lot better really fast is to read up on color theory and understand what colors mix together to create what other colors. And so, like, understanding that red and green mixed together creates a really great sort of brown gray shadow color to shade with. Until I understood those kind of interactions, my painting was a lot more flat, or a lot more like I was doing I'm going to paint with a dark red, and then I'm going to paint a middle red, and then I'm going to paint a highlight, which is totally a valid way to approach things. But I really do find that you get a lot more depth and shadow and contrast by mixing colors and doing that kind of stuff. How do you guys feel about mixing colors? Is that something you do? Is that something you try to avoid?
Oh, absolutely. If you look on my wet palette right now, I'll bring it on. I am 100%. Like, I don't think I'm putting a straight color on at all. It's all mixing, which can get me into trouble sometimes when I have to try to replicate that further down.
Yeah, it's kind of an issue well, not an issue, but it's an aspect of army painting that if you want it like really standardized, across all the figures, it can be challenging to make those mixes. It adds another step. I mean, I mix too. I learned a lot about it doing the Zorn palette thing in the fall.
Yeah.
I'm still occasionally surprised by what happens when I mix two colors of paint together.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. There's some real big surprises out there.
Is there anything that when you're looking at an army and you're like, damn it, I hate painting this? Or will you not even get into an army if there's something you don't like?
Oh no, I definitely.
Like, for me, I hate faces. Like, personally, I hate faces.
I think I've learned faces pretty well, but I agree faces can be rough, and I don't paint eyes anymore. I used to back in the day, and it's just something I don't think it's a level of detail that models at the scale we play need to have on them. If I was going to play like Marvel Crisis Protocol or something like that, I feel like the eyes are sort of necessary. But on the stuff that we primarily play now, I don't think that there's necessarily necessary. Does it look amazing if you do a really good job? Yes, absolutely. But I just don't think that at the scale we play, it's necessary.
I'll get in trouble for this answer to your question, Alec, but I actually really hate the Scorn filigree thing.
Dude, I get that. I tried to do that with Menoth a bunch of time.
Yep, yeah, that inlaid panel armor where like the inner part of the panel is colored, and then you have to like etch all around it.
No, I get that
such
completely.
a ball breaker. I mean, I did it for Scorn. I don't know if it's a hot take.
I feel like people who have painted those armies understand it.
I can tell you right now the reason that my old Umbri army is sitting at playably painted, but not like me starting to go in and finish it, and I've switched to Winter Corp, is exactly that Scorn reason, is that there's all kinds of crazy inlaid filigree with color behind it, and I just don't want to paint it. To the point where, like, I'm thinking about going in and just, like, sanding all that detail off, the shields and some of the crazy amounts of tiny detail on, like, the Wardens, for example. Like, I'm thinking about just filing it all off and painting it flat.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. And there's ways to paint it. There's ways to paint it. So, like, for example, Scorn back in the day, Privateer used to have all these where you'd do the flat color, you'd paint the filigree, and then you'd wash it with a red ink, and that would create this sort of bright, vibrant color in the shadows. And then you just sort of like dry brush the metals, and that's how they did at least the Scorn armor back in the day. So there's some techniques like that where you use the top highlight as sort of like a shade for the metal, or a patina color for the metal, and then you just sort of do a top highlight to return it to the sort of bright sparkle. But
I can see that working.
But yes, I agree that there's definitely armies like that is rough to paint them because of the amount of little detailed stuff that's on them.
Human flesh, I would also, if there's a lot of like skin that's got to get painted. I figured out my method for trolls, but I mean, I think skin's a little bit intimidating, especially when it's like, humans.
I both love it and hate it. So like, there is something to painting a bunch of armor. Armor is cool, but at the same time, armor can be really flat and not have a lot of variance because of how big an area some of like the flatness on a warjack is, for example. But and painting flesh, it's going to have depth just because to get that the same level of sort of shade, you're going to have to show the depth of recesses of the muscles and the depth of the recesses of the body. So like I've painted a whole bunch of Grimkin, for example, and Grimkin has a lot of fleshy surfaces and skin and bones, skin coverings and stuff like that. And so I really enjoy painting skin and flesh and how the model looks, but at the same time, like doing a little fleshy face on top of a giant armored model like I'm doing right now, it is so tough to get that so that it looks good and doesn't just like the highlighting doesn't just like wash it out.
Yeah, it's like it's the part of the model that I feel is often I know it's important and I feel like I often do the worst job on it. It's not an accident that all of my trolls have like big metal masks on their heads.
Yeah,
like yeah.
I mean it works. It works really good for you, Joe.
It's a good hack, right? I figured out what I didn't want to do so I could do something I wanted to do.
And created a uniqueness to your army that some of those models sometimes miss.
Yeah. Okay, so when I start a new project, I find it hard to paint a one-off mini because I basically I can't like color wheel or plan enough ahead to like really know what I want to have happen, and so I usually want to paint like 4 or 5 test minis, and then I'll strip those, and then I'll actually paint the army. Do you guys do test minis? Like, how do you?
Totally, but I don't usually strip them.
Absolutely.
Afterwards. And I'm so what I'll do is I find a color that I want to paint as like a primary color in the army, and then I'll use a color app. So I use the app that I use both to track my paint and stuff, and like when I need to get and play around with color, it's called Paint Rack. It's an Android app, and it you can. So one of the ways you develop a color is like you pick like a primary color you want your army to be, or color you want to have be your accent color or something like that, and then you put it into paint. I put it into Paint Rack, and it shows me all in my the paint lines that I own, or if there's a new paint line I want to sort of get into, what colors will complement it, what colors could support, like triads of colors that could support it. For example, and I use that to sort of develop an idea of a scheme in my head. And sometimes this takes me like, it's super fast, and I put it on a couple models, I like it, and I go. Sometimes it can take weeks of like, well, let's use this version of this color and then apply the triad or apply the like, or is there a silver, or do I want to use gold, or do I want to use bronze, or do I want to use? And so there's some development in that, and so sometimes it'll take 2 or 3 test models before I figure out exactly what I want to do. And like even now, there's like I've been painting Khador for years and years and years, so I have a good idea of how I paint my Khador and the primary colors I use and the tertiary and highlight colors and what color I do the metals and stuff like that. But like trying to figure out my Orgoth, I went through like a dozen ways to paint the sort of pinky purple color that my Orgoth armor is.
Yeah, I remember that.
Just because different paint lines did it differently, and I wasn't getting the depth of color I was looking for a really long time. I probably repainted half the army after figuring out like a basic way to do it, and then like new P3 came out, and it's jumbled up, and I've had to sort of figure it out again. So that's definitely something
had to relearn
I struggle
it, right?
with. Yeah, pretty much. And understanding how a paint line does things. So like, I primarily have painted with P3, and then I tried to do Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl for a while, and that paint paints completely differently than how I'm used to. It paints more like a GW paint or a
it's like really thin, right?
Right.
It doesn't need to be watered down at all. It's kind of the opposite of the like P3 creaminess or
Yeah.
like the GW stodginess.
And
Like,
and
yeah.
it also is how you. I think it also lends itself well to how you approach painting. So like I was saying that I tend to paint the mid-tone and I do some highlight, I do the shadow, and then I do with a top coat. And I use feathering to sort of create the blends and stuff that I do. I don't think Pro Acryl works that well that way. I think Pro Acryl is much more you start with the dark color and then you highlight up from there. Maybe you put a wash on it and then do some more highlighting or something like that. But I think what I call the GW style of painting, the layering, I think Pro Acryl lends itself much better to layering than it does to like feathering or some of the other paint styles.
Yeah.
I mean that could be too complex for our listener, but I think figuring how a paint works is a really good first step in starting to paint an army. So if like you're using a new paint line, sometimes you have to learn how the paint behaves. Like you said, is it thinner? Is it thicker? Is it more translucent? Is it more opaque? And figuring how to make that work with the style and how you paint, or if you're a new painter, just figuring how it works and going with that is sometimes can be the hardest trick in learning to paint. Joe,
Yeah, and it's not even consistent
yeah,
across a range, right?
right,
Like,
right.
like
Joe, would you say that you so you started painting your Brine Bloods, for example, and you said like 5 test models and then stripped them all and then started painting the army. After you did those 5 test models, did you completely understand like how you paint green, how you paint red, how you paint blue, or did you sort of have to learn, like once you got the color scheme figured out, you sort of had to, as you were painting the models, learn the process, and so as you painted more models, you sped up, but there was like a learning curve. Do you understand what I'm talking about?
yeah. I mean, I was still like learning after
Right.
the 5 models. Like, I didn't have the scheme nailed, but I had enough of it done that I like could all of a sudden complete a model. Like, I don't even
Right.
necessarily like complete the models when I do the 5. I paint them until I think they're so ugly I can't paint them anymore, right? Like,
Yeah, I remember you
and I
doing
don't I
that.
don't even try to like I don't try to make them like I don't try to paint them, right? Like, I might paint the skin different ways in different parts just to see what the
Right.
hell happens. And so they come out real horrible. But by the end of the like 5 models or so, I've got an idea of like how I'm going to approach it, and then I like try to paint a unit and actually like, I've got kind of a strategy at that point.
Do you find
And
yourself adapting how you approach painting those colors as you go? Like,
yeah, it definitely changes, and it gets better as I go, right? The
right,
models,
right.
I'll continue to improve in skill, and some things will just change. I'll stop doing stuff. I mean, you probably saw all the flames that I painted last year, and
Yeah,
I had a lot of levels of horrible.
right.
And by the very end, I think I got a level of flame that I was like pretty happy with.
Yeah,
And then I ended up going back and repainting a bunch of the flame because
yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't happy with it.
Or I pointed out that they were reversed in how they should have been, or something like that.
Oh yeah. Some of them were backwards. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, there was weird stuff too. Like, I wasn't using like colors that were quite pure, and so like a little bit of green crept into my flames for a certain like round of
I mean,
the
that's
flame
and that
painting.
and that can be fine as well. I definitely one of the
Not for
things.
a red flame though. It shouldn't have
Well,
like a little green tinge at the end. It just looks
yeah.
like you did it wrong.
Well,
Like,
yeah, yeah. I mean, one thing I
But
will.
it's learning, right? It's like part of the fun is figuring it all out and getting good at
Wait,
it.
this is supposed to be fun?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought
And
this is like a stressful, high anxiety thing that we do. We were supposed to calm and be happy when we do this.
hmm
and relaxed, and it should be like a stress reliever almost, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was, yeah.
What
I know you're joking. I
What do
know.
you guys do while you're painting? Like,
Primarily listen to music or talk to you guys.
okay.
Yeah, probably that. Music, podcasts, and audiobooks. I love doing audiobooks, especially if I'm really getting into something. I'll
Oh
put on
yeah.
an audiobook that will like inspire me, or I just go some of my go-tos. Like the Harry Dresden books, or
Those are classic.
MHI, or
Mhm.
Honor Harrington, like,
Oh, yep.
Yeah, I
or
mean,
the Warmachine books. I mean, yeah.
I definitely feel like whatever you listen to, it either has to be something that you can tune out sometimes, or be something that you, at least for me, or something that I know so well that if I tune it out for a couple of chapters, I won't have lost my place and have to sort of figure out where I am and go back. So I can't listen to like new stuff because I don't know about, at least about you guys, but I tend to like focus in like I'm trying to finish a color or finish a detail and all, and I'm just sort of the sound is sort of just background sound, so I'm not just like sitting in silence. And then I'll come back and not know where I am.
Oh, that's so
I
interesting.
mean,
My brain,
I've
for
read
me,
the.
it's like
Oh,
the opposite. I like part of me is focusing on the audiobook and the rest is focusing on the painting, and they don't seem to interact with each other. It's very
Huh.
weird.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say. I do something very similar to Joe.
Yeah, no, I mean
I
that's
just
I'm exactly the opposite. Like I'll focus on stuff. Like I can't listen to an audiobook unless I'm like just listening to the audiobook. I do like watch TV and look at my phone sometimes and can follow both, but for the most part I have to focus on the one thing of detail that I'm trying to understand, whether it's painting or listening to a new audiobook or um, working on something specifically, and that's why I tend to use like just sort of generic audio, like music in the background.
Hmm. Yeah,
I mean,
that
fair.
makes sense
I,
if it takes your attention.
Yeah.
I definitely just put it on and zone out. And but I'm also one of those people where, like, when I'll play a video game, sometimes I'll have an audiobook going at the same time as a video game.
Wow.
Yeah, video game engages me too much. That one I wouldn't pay attention to.
Yeah.
Well, if
If
it's
it's a
like an
good video
RPG,
game. If it's a bad video game, then maybe not.
well, no, like if it's an RPG that I need to, but if I'm doing like League of Legends or like
Oh, I could see
Eve
that.
or something like that, where I don't have to work, like something where um it's not narrative based. Like I don't have to, like, it's just doing the same type of actions. Like I said, like with Eve, or
Yeah. I
you
mean, this
know,
is a
like
a, a
I could see
far
Eve too.
a far tangent for us, but
but
I agree. So I'm sort of the opposite. So I actually have basically given up playing video games for the most part, just because I could be playing a video game or painting, not both. And so I
Yeah.
find
oh,
that my time is better spent painting, or with the time that I would spend into a video game, I spend painting. So like I in the 2015, 2016, I basically stopped being a computer gamer. And I have played some stuff and not painted for months at a time sometimes. So like I've played some of the bigger titles that have come out, but I either am painting or playing video games, and I'm not doing both, pretty much.
so
I
for me,
agree
it
with that.
depends on
For
what's
me,
going
they're
on with like
exclusive.
family.
Yeah, I
Like
get
if
that
I
too.
can, so for example, if I'm gonna paint, I need to be able to dedicate time to it. I can't just go and do 15 minutes. I want to do hours. Whereas there are
Yep.
definitely some games I can sit down and do
Uh,
15 minutes. Like got the kids to bed. I'm, brewing a cup of coffee, or not a coffee, brewing like a cup of tea before I go to sleep. And I'll just go play blueprints for 15 minutes and go, because
wow.
it's sitting down for
And you can
15 minutes.
enjoy that like increment of it. Yeah.
I
Yeah. Like I can't sit down for 15 minutes and just paint. Like I'll get frustrated.
I'm exactly the opposite. I mean, I'm the guy I used to be able to sit and paint for hours and hours and hours and hours. But I can't do that anymore with just like my health and my body and stuff like that, and my legs and things. Like I can't sit still and paint for 4 hours. Like I think 3 or 4 hours is the most at a given time. And so I really embrace the sit down and paint a face, sit down and paint and highlight a suit of armor, sit down and just do one thing for 10 minutes in a day, or 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 times during the day. Take a 15-minute break and paint for 15 minutes. I really use that a lot in my process.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, for me, I have to make sure everything's put away, like paint wise and minis and stuff like that, because
So you don't have
otherwise,
a dedicated space for your
Oh man.
paints.
yeah, I not really. Like I
That's
have the paints
that's
up and
rough.
above, but for minis, it's just I thought I was going to be able to have that outdoor space at this house,
Yeah.
but that outdoor space is -3 degrees, and
Oh.
even with a space heater, I can get it up to like 25.
Yeah, my
That's
garage
so
painting space also turns off, and it's not nearly that cold. Yeah, it's miserable. It's funny.
like
Yeah.
I'll send you guys a picture of like next time I'm out there. Like if I'm just doing because I thought I was gonna do 3D printing too,
Mhm.
and it's it's too cold. Like
Yeah.
it's legitimately like nope. That's I'll die. Like not even figurative. No, there's a potential chance where my
Just
body temperature
literally
drops.
die.
Yeah.
So I
I
now am painting in the house again, which is fine, except two
Yeah.
golden retrievers and three children.
I mean, I, I
Someone will get into
I
something.
I get it. I get it. I guess that's one of the I wouldn't say necessarily an advantage, but one of the things where I have a room that I do all my hobby and painting in, and I don't have kids or pets or anything like that that gets into my stuff, and so I'm able to just come to my desk that has paints and models on it, sit down, paint for a couple of minutes, get up, and just sort of leave it there. I don't have to worry about someone coming along and messing with it.
It's so important. I have a painting table in my office, and so far my daughter is pretty good about not messing with it. And just the ability to sit down and instantly be painting is so helpful.
Yeah.
Wait till she's like 5 or 6. Daddy, I love you. Let me go help you.
Oh man. Yeah,
I'm
she'll
definitely
like
not
I
speaking
can't
from
I can't paint when
real.
she's awake, right? Because she'll like climb up on my lap, but she doesn't fuss with the minis yet, at least.
That's
So
yeah. Give it time.
Yet. Yeah.
yet.
I, having a 11-year-old, 9-year-old, and a 3-year-old, I can tell you, they love minis. They're
Oh, I bet
they're
they do.
daddy's toys that I play with. I'm like, oh
Oh
no.
man. So I can paint for like I think I was thinking about this the other day. I paint for like maybe an hour to an hour and a half at a time, and then I usually need like some kind of break.
Yep.
Like, that's at the point where my yeah everything starts to get like kind of uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean I'm like healthy. I think it's just sort of a natural like that's how long I can sit still. I can do like 6 or 8 hours in a day, but I don't do it like in a go, right? It's
Right.
like yeah.
Yeah. I definitely, when I was younger, was able to sit and just paint all day and get stuff done and work on stuff and things. But now,
That's incredible.
now I basically like I do a color and have to get up and walk around and do something else. Like painting the Manowares that I did. I did all of the red detail fully, and then I did all the black armor fully as a separate session. And then I did like the flesh and the green military colors as a separate session. And then I did the face and the metallic details as a session. And then I painted the base and like did some washing and final shading and highlighting as a session. And so like now I need to seal them, and then I have to go back in and like pop all of the metals again after I've sealed and dulled them down, and probably tweak the like some of the color and stuff to fit to get them finished. But like each of those
Hmm.
steps is like I walk away for 3 or 4 or 5 hours, and then I come back and work for an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours, and then I get up and it could be a whole day between the next color.
Yep. Yeah. I feel like not enough people talk about this idea of like sealing your minis
Yep.
and then going back and repainting the metallics.
Oh God, I yeah, I feel like
It's
I
like
have
so
to.
important. It's
Yeah.
how you do it, right? Like especially if you're going to
Right.
use any kind of matte sealer, like
I mean,
um
it can depend on the effect. Like if I'm going for a dulled, like rusted look, it's not necessarily necessary. But I definitely feel that any sealing of a model, and so like there were times in the past when I was trying to be like a really good painter where I would seal between colors, and so
yep, I can
that
see that.
it totally pull because like you can if you make a mistake, it's easier to erase it off of a sealed surface on a
Hmm.
color than it is to off of like just paint by itself. Um, is sort of the idea behind it, but it definitely sealing pulls the patina, the glitter of the metal out, and going back and touching up those metal colors can really help a model that would look good on the table but look a little flat, shine and pop a lot more, especially if there's like a lot of metal detail.
Yeah, and you can just like hit the edges and like the high points and it'll make them look even more shiny than
Yeah,
it would without it, right? Because
absolutely.
you've got dull parts and you've got like high highlights. I think it looks great. I sometimes seal after I airbrush too, because like that
Yeah.
airbrushing layer is really fine and it's impossible to replicate. So like you said, I want to be able to
Right.
recover. If I want to make a mistake, I want to be able to like kind of remove it. And that paint is really fine usually too, so it doesn't stick as well as some of the other paint.
Yeah.
The other thing that's like
It's
awesome
more
about
fresh.
sealing is, yeah, I've noticed more lately that like different paints have different finishes.
Right.
Which is not a thing I knew a year ago. It's a thing I know now though. And
The
it's
metamorphosis of
in
Joe.
part like, yeah, I mean, when you look at like contrast paints and stuff, a lot of them dry glossy and it's garbage. But when you seal them, it's much better, right?
Right.
Because instead of the recesses being shiny, now the recesses are properly matte.
Yep.
And you get a more uniform look once you seal the model.
And
so.
like Procol, a lot of their paints tend to be matte, but they have some glosses and some satins in there too. And like GW color GWs tend to dry either glossy or satin. P3 tends to be a little more matte on the matte side, or the slightly satiny side. And so absolutely sealing even more than 2, 3, 4 times during the process can really help after you've finished like a layer. Like for example, I've gotten into oil washing recently, and I've shared some of my nightmares with it. But I absolutely think that sealing after doing an oil wash before you go back, if you're going to go back and do any highlighting, is absolutely necessary, because oils they dry glossy, and so
they do.
So under getting that gloss sheen down and understanding how it actually looks on the model, and not necessarily, I've painted, like when I started painting my Winter Corp originally. I don't tend to use glazes a lot. I've at least before starting my Winter Corp army a couple years ago, I hadn't really used glazes a ton. And so one of the things I did with that army is I started glazing the reds and glazing the greens and glazing some of the colors. And glazes definitely can sometimes have that sort of sheen. And I ignored that gloss. And so there's a bunch of models that I eventually, after sealing it at the end, I had to go back and repaint how I did the shade and highlight of the red parts of some of the armor, because the way it was shining was and the way I painted it, because of the gloss, when you matted it, it didn't look as good. The shadows
didn't look quite like the same, right?
In the best place. And so getting rid of some of those variances in color and sort of flatten the model can actually really help you paint a model.
Yeah, I like to do my last seal before I do my final highlights.
Yep, I will
for that reason, right?
I will agree with that.
That's yeah.
And
so
before I do any sort of base, like if I'm going to add snow or add patina or any of that, I do a lot of that. I do a final seal as well before doing any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. What do we think about like okay, do you think maybe I'll put my view out there.
Yeah.
I think that good army painting has a really uniform paint scheme. What do you think about that?
I think
it's just not 100% true, but I think that's like often the goal is to be kind of uniform across models.
I think you want to have unifying colors that help bring the army together, but especially if you're painting if you're not even Warmachine, but if you're painting French peasants for Bretonnians, or if you were painting Menos and
cultists,
cultists or something like that, you can do a lot of variance in color as long as there's at least one color across the entire army that brings the whole army together.
Yeah. And sometimes that's the base, right. I think, or the base can help with that too, right? Yep.
Or does every model, when shading, do you mix like a purple into all the colors? Or a blue?
Oh, yeah.
That can help to unify models that don't necessarily go together. So like, here's a good example. So like, I'm painting Khador right now. I'm painting Winter Corp right now. And so my basic Winter Corp army has a... So Winter Corp has effectively sort of three components to it right now. There's the basic Winter Corp army. There's the Annihilator Cadre, which is the melee Man-O-Wars and Sakura, and then there's also the SK9 Cadre, which is Vilcul and Razor and the Hounds and that kind of stuff. And so one way to paint those things is to paint, just treat it all as one army and paint it all with the same armor tones and just paint it all so it looks the same. Another approach would be to, what are unifying like colors that I want to have in those models that are sort of unifying, and then what colors can make them sort of stand out as separate, or like a different cadre or a different specialist group, or maybe I want to like paint all of my pikeman guys a little different than the rest of the army to sort of show that they're, or paint them to match a specific caster because I'm going to play with that group a lot. One way to do that is to pick colors in those color schemes that you're going to approach exactly the same way across the whole army. So, like for example, I paint my Khador scheme is basically like a red primary armor, a green cloth, green clothing, and then or for the jacks, some of the accent colors are green, like military green, and then like a black as an accent, or a shadow, or like a dark gray sort of color. Well, for my Annihilator Cadre, and then there's other colors, so like, because they're snow guys, I have some guys in like snow camo uniforms and all. But when I paint the red and when I paint the green, I paint it the same across the entirety of the army. But then for my Annihilator Cadre, which is what I'm sort of working on right now, I decided to make black be their primary, or the dark gray color be their primary armor color, and the accents painted in that red that the rest of the army has. And then for my SK9, instead of doing the same sort of black tone as I've done across the rest of the army, instead of basing it on Asheth Gray, which is sort of like a gray, like a white gray, or it's sort of like a flatter tone gray, where I've based all the blacks on coal black, which is sort of a blue gray, or like a turquoise gray. And so all of their black elements, they also are based as like black as their primary armor color with red accents, but their armor is going to have more of a blue or a turquoise tone to it, where the Annihilator Cadre's black armor has more of a gray, has more of a sort of a white or traditional gray coloring. And so little details like that can create interest in the army, but the army is still going to look cohesively as a whole, because the reds and the greens are painted the same way across the whole army, whether they're the main color or the accent.
Yeah, and so it's sort of like, you don't want to get bored, right? And so that allows you to like sort of put this.
Alec, have we lost
it lets you get like interest, and like it lets you vary up your painting, but like by keeping some uniformity, you keep like sort of a consistent theme across the army. It's a thing that I haven't done very well with my trolls, which was they're like a little bit of a clown fiesta, and that's like kind of fun for them. But whatever I paint next, like I want it to be more schematic, and I like your idea of kind of like,
yeah, I mean, like
varying within that theme, but keeping commonalities so that it actually like reads in the way it's supposed to.
One of the ways you could approach, like, say if you have two units of the same thing. This is something I've done with Menoth in the past, something I've done with other armies in the past. Say I have 2 units of Incinerators that I want to do, and so I will paint the first unit in a very sort of uniform scheme to sort of match my jacks and match the rest of my army. And then if I have a second one, I might reverse the primary and accent colors. So instead of...
Oh, I love that idea.
Or sometimes like you'll just paint a different color scarf, or a different color webbing or detailing. So there's different ways you can approach doing some of that kind of stuff. I know in my old Man-O-War army, the Armored Corp army, I picked a different color to be the primary color of each of the Man-O-War types. And so I was painting them all with the same 3 or 4 colors, but like all of my shock troopers have red base armor and black accents. All of my demo corp have black armor with red accents, and green highlighting stuff. And then all of my the demolishers, which are the ranged unit, I have a unit of red and a unit of black, and then they all have a white shoulder pad on different shoulders to sort of make them.
Oh, so you can help.
So you can help define
it
what
really
units
helps.
are what units.
Yeah, I mean, it makes your army more playable too, right? And it's sort of
Right.
helpful for your opponent, and it gives it some character. I love this idea. Yeah, I'll have to try it out. Like, and you need two colors. You need when you do it though, you need two colors that can both be the main color, right?
Right. Right. Oh yeah,
Like,
no. What I do when I paint an army, when I'm trying to figure out a color scheme, is I pick two primary colors. So I find in the past I've painted armies all one color, and they sort of blend together on the tabletop. And by doing that, having two primary colors in an army and sort of two-toning the models, you can create a lot of separation and pop to the army that you might not necessarily have. And then you always want to have like one or two accent colors, and I think two metal colors, at least to start. And then like if I want this Warcaster to pop, I might so like in the past when painting all the different Warcasters that were in Warmachine in the past, so like playing Khador, there were like 23 legacy casters or something like that. And so I would give each caster their own unique sort of like accent color. So it could be their cape. It could be the... sometimes I might just like this Sorsha, because I want her to stand out from the other Sorshas that I might be playing in my army. I gave her white, sort of like blue-white snow armor instead of red armor. Or usually it was like for my Grimkin, each of the casters has a different accent color. And then like if this beast is played with that caster a lot, I might paint the accents on that beast the same as the caster's accents to show that I play with them together a lot, for example.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So there's
It like helps them like tell a story, right?
right.
Like
It helps them
like
make
Strix and Bodan should be like
right.
they should have some commonality to help like.
Absolutely. That is absolutely something that I will be applying when I paint Strix. And there's some narrative, but like at the same time, you might not play Strix with that caster a lot. Like so, for example, I'm looking at the armies I might want to play this year for Old Embry, and I think that Strix is going to play with Morozov a lot because Morozov has tools that are very helpful to make Strix shine. And so, like,
remind me, which one is Morozov?
Morozov is the shapeshifter caster. He turns into a bear.
Yeah.
So like when I paint the two of them, I will probably do some sort of accent. So like my Bodan has a purple cloak, and so like a bunch of the on the basic so there's two sculpts now that I have of Strix. So my basic Strix, like all the cloth shreds and stuff like that stuff on him are in the same purples that match the Bodan's cloak color because I want them to sort of pair together. Because like you said, narratively they are effectively Strix's old witches, but also Bodan's familiar. And like now he's getting in the update, he's getting an ability that matches an ability that Bodan has. For example, the teleporter ability.
Yeah, it's really nice when you can tell a little bit of a story, right?
Right.
Like with your army.
Right. But then at the same time, like I probably won't use him with Bodan that often. I'll probably be using him with like Morozov or Aslanov or something like that. And so like when I paint the alternate model, I might, whatever I end up doing with Morozov, I might take some of the aspects of his model that make him unique and pop on the table and apply that to Strix to sort of show that they're together. So there's all kinds of little tricks like that you can do when painting an army to give it uniqueness and give it flair and give it and tie it in for yourself in the story. I definitely
make it.
I definitely see.
Yeah, and then you get to see those little things on the table, right?
Right.
Like, and it's really rewarding.
Right.
Yeah.
And it can be like and the other thing to understand about painting is that you can always go back and touch something up. And so like I know you want to finish a model and get on the table and have it be done, but an arm might break off and you might have to touch the colors up. Maybe you decide that you think a unit that you painted could use a little bit of highlight, or could it's performing really well on the table, and you want to make it pop a little bit more to sort of show that it's like a special unit that you're using. Never be afraid to go back and touch up a model, or tweak a model.
It's
or
a great point. And
add
as you
additional
get it
color.
better as a painter too, right?
Right.
Like if a model is really important to you. I mean,
Right.
it's nice to have it done forever, but
Yeah. But like,
I love being able to fix things.
and to sort of talk about something that Alec was talking about earlier, I definitely like to play with painted models, and I have a very hard time, even when in like practice games with friends, playing with unpainted stuff. So like I want to, even to sort of start learning a new army that I've gotten into, I want to have some sort of paint on my army. And so when I paint an army, I paint it in levels. So I have like a playably, a quick, fast play, like level of paint job that allows me to start playing with models. I call it, in my head, it's level 1. But
yeah, I love the system. I've never seen
yeah,
anyone else do it.
It's basically like I paint everything really quick. One or two highlights, one color, maybe a highlight, a wash, and then like a highlight or two after that. It's a very fast, and it gets my army on the table quickly to start playing with it and learning how to play the army. Because I like to play at least in my mind base painted, and then I will go back in and do shades and highlights, or patinas, or effects, or whatever you're going to do as you paint the army and get it to a finished, and I say that with air quotes, a finished level in your head. You can always go back and touch it up. So like my Grimkin, for example, I collected a big Grimkin army, and I painted all of it to level 1 in like a month or two. Just like blew through it and just got everything done and got it so that I felt like I could play with it painted on the table. And then over the next like 2 years, they would release like an update, a CID or something like that would change or add a couple of models to the army. When that happened, I went back through and upped the level of highlight and shadow and highlight across the entire army. And then maybe a year later, when I pick them up for a couple of months, or I pick them up for a tournament that's coming up, I might go in and all the models in my army, I might touch them up and add a little bit of patina, or a little bit of add eyes, or add some pop to the skeletons in the cages in the Cage Rager or something like that. I might touch up little details, and so that's a way to, or if you're one of those people like me that have to have everything painted, you just do like a quick base paint across the whole army, but you might not play with aspects of the army, and so you leave all that stuff in that sort of mostly finished, playably painted but not really finished level. And then 6 months or a year or 2 years down the line, when you're like, well, this caster just got an update, for example, with Sakura, which I'm painting right now. She was in that playably painted state since the Annihilator Cadre came out. Back in 2024. So I wasn't really playing with her, so I didn't feel like I needed to finish her. So I finished the couple of things that I was playing with, and I left most of the cadre to sort of be playably painted, and I could pick them up and try them out and do things, but they weren't finished. And so now that I'm thinking about playing her, have gone back, and it gives me a tangible thing to work on in the army, because I like to be painting what I'm playing. Without having to worry about not playing with it painted in the past.
Yeah, and it's so smart, right? Because it lets you do that thing that Alec was talking about, which was just kind of like grind through and get the minis done, and not realize that not every model you paint is a masterpiece, but it opens the door for you to go back and refine when you want to.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd never heard of this before, but I would love to try it. I don't know if I'll be able to bring myself to try it, but I mean, I think it makes so much sense.
Yep. I agree with that.
In part, I think when I paint, the minis get uglier, like much uglier, before they get pretty.
Oh, yeah.
Is that true? Would you
totally
agree with that?
Every model has an ugly stage. 100%. I agree with that 100%. And pushing through the ugly stage and getting to the finished stage is a skill that you have to develop, because let me tell you, some models can look so ugly for so long.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And if you don't push through and finish all the little details and things like that, you're never going to get to a place you're happy. And so you might put the model down and never come back to it. I definitely am guilty of that.
Yep, I know why all those YouTubers love spending, like, they all talk about all the fun they have doing the highlights and everything. It's because,
Right.
like, yeah, you've like, your model is no longer an ugly piece of an ugly mess, right?
My least favorite step is absolutely base coating and getting that model to a base level for sure. I mean, I like seeing the finished, what I call level 1, the finished playably painted, but sometimes the model is just does not look good.
Yeah, and it's a real drag, right? You gotta trust your process.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah, I think these trolls sat on my desk for a long time before I was like, okay, I'm gonna power through and get them to the point where they're not like horrible. And then once I did that, then I was really excited to finish them off.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And the thing you need to understand as well is that it's just paint. And so if you're not happy with where a model ends up, or like you get to that finished point and you're still not happy, you can keep going if you want to. But at the same time, what I suggest doing is, if you get to what you think is like a place the model should be finished and you're not happy with the model, put it down. Go paint something else. Go work on something else. Go play some games. Go do other things. Come back to that model in 2 weeks or a month or a year. You'll always have a different perspective, and maybe it just needed a wash and a re-highlight to make it work. Maybe you need to strip it and start again. I mean, there's a lot of, don't get stuck on one model and have your process of getting your army painted stop because you can't get one model exactly right.
Yep, and you'll get better too, right?
Right.
And you'll get better able to understand why things are messed up, right? Like, it's really hard to. I mean, I think it's a skill to know why things aren't working, and it's not something that just happens out of the box, and it's something you more time will help you diagnose.
I mean, for example, Matt Hart, who is the chief creative officer for SFG, one of the guys behind Warmachine right now, at Lock and Load, they were showing off. So one of the things he does is he paints like every mod. He gets a 3D print or a test model of everything that what the company SFG puts out, and he paints like every model before he tries to paint every model at least to a base paint scheme before signing off on the final detail of the sculpts to get the model put into production. I thought
this was so cool.
I think it's absolutely cool. But so he was showing off the alternate sculpt for Vilcool that's supposed to go with Old Umbry at Lock and Load. And he actually mentioned when he was talking, he was like, yeah, it took me 3 attempts to paint her to get her to a point where I like her. And sometimes that's necessary. I mean, I know you've done this, Joe, with your frogs and stuff. You've painted a model, you've played it, you've looked at it, and you haven't been 100% happy with it, so you've stripped it and gone back and tried doing similar things to what you had done to a different result.
Yeah, and I usually ask you, or
right.
And then I also post and
yep.
ask people, why doesn't this work? Because a lot of the times you need somebody else to help you understand why things are going that way.
And that is a fantastic thing to be able to do. A lot of painters, when they post stuff, at least I've found, a lot of painters, when they post stuff online, they're looking for people just to say, oh, that looks cool, or oh, that's nice, or oh, I like this color, or blah, blah, blah. And they're not really looking for criticism. They're not looking for I don't think this model's right. What do I need to change? Or what do I need to tweak? Or what can I do to make this model look better? And I think the reason your frogs look as good as they did is that early on, and even now, you ask that question constantly, and you're not afraid to go back and redo the fire, redo the gems or the glow, or should the eyes of this statue have gems in it? Like, didn't you do that on on Bago. On
Oh my gosh, yeah, you made me
Bago.
do, you guys made me do the gems.
And the
It was a
and,
great learning opportunity. It turned out awesome,
and
but it
the
was
and
like,
the light, like the light from the lava
Mhm.
and how it shined on the model. We made some tweaks or suggestions, but
Yep,
you're
yeah,
like,
we
I
figured out
don't
how to
want to
do
really
that.
touch that up, but I guess you're right. And you went back, and the model is amazing because of some of those little details that you were like, why isn't this working? Why is this a problem? And we were like, well, maybe you need to try this, or yes, I think a gem would look better. Yes, it's a freaking nightmare to paint, but doing it right and making the model look as best that it can is totally worth it. And you did that, and your army stands alone as probably one of the best armies I've ever seen painted in my life.
Yeah, I mean, I love how it turned out. It's the same attitude we bring to Warmachine, right?
Right,
Like,
right,
like the same attitude to learning the game and becoming better at the game. Like, and I know some people like painting more than others, and
yeah.
but you can the same skills apply, right?
I love, and just to go back to something you said earlier in the cast, I love that you were like, I didn't understand that paints had a different level of shine and finish when they dried, and that sealing them helped all that stuff together a year ago. And I was like, he just painted those frogs and he didn't understand that. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Well, I'd like heard people say the words,
Right.
right? Like
Yeah.
I'd heard the words said,
Right.
but I didn't know
But
like what it meant. And now I see a model and I'm like, oh
right.
man, that looks weird because it's shiny and it shouldn't be shiny. Like
I
and it's
and that is so cool for someone who's been doing. I've been doing this for way too long, and so I had that same renaissance like in the late '90s or early 2000s of understanding that ooh, this I do this thing and it makes this look different than that, and that's bad. And I have to figure
yeah.
out some way to blend together. And it could be you just like thin some matte medium and apply it across the whole model. I've done that to sort of help bring the tones of the models together.
Cool.
Without having
that.
to sort of and that's one way to get around not affecting the patina as much. But there's all kinds of ways to do that, and I think that just sealing a model real quick and going back and going in and touching up the metals is a much faster and more practical way of doing it than applying gesso or applying matte medium or whatever.
Oh man. Yeah, and I don't know what the pros do, right? I know that like the display painters hate sealing their models.
Yes.
Or at least I think they do.
Yes, they do.
Because it changes the color.
Right.
But so I'm sure they
they
have techniques like you talked about, right?
We're tabletop miniatures players, so we need the models paint to survive going in and out of cases and playing in games and getting knocked over or knocked on the floor or whatever. And so sealing is just sort of the nature of the beast for us.
Yeah. So we've lost Alec.
We have.
You're about to lose me. I propose we should end on like a brief discussion of like should armies be painted for tournament play? When is that appropriate? When not? Sure. Like painting requirements.
Right.
What's your view on that stuff?
I both like it and hate it. I think that as a community organizer, allowing people to play with unpainted stuff and allowing people to play with stuff as long as they're progressing, and they're showing that they're at least working on it is a valid approach. But at the same time, at least for bigger conventions and things like that, having a bunch of people playing with painted models on the table when people walk by to get interest is absolutely 100 times better than having people look and see a bunch of like flat 2D terrain and people playing with unpainted models.
Yeah.
So
I think painted models are just like part of the core aesthetic of this experience, right?
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I hate to gatekeep, especially local events and works in progress and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think I'm with you that like conventions, I think requiring painted for an IG qualifier, yeah, I can absolutely see that. Like,
yeah, and I really do think that part of building a community is finding a way to encourage painting in your members while not making it an absolute requirement. So there are going to be guys that are there just to play because they like the rules of the game and they want to play the game, and painting is the last thing on their mind. There are guys that are going to be there that they love the models and that's what they're focused on, and the game is the secondary thing. And understanding your community and what they need is good. But like, for example, when I run a journeyman league, I don't require painting, but I always try and make painting a bonus or an incentive to getting a score and winning things. You can't win, and sometimes it might be is like if a person can only play one game a week or one game every 2 weeks, maybe you build painting into it so that they can sort of keep up with some of the players that get to play 3 or 4 or 5 games in a week just by painting more models. That's a valid thing to do. But making painting, giving an award or making it giving people an incentive when you're building your community to paint is absolutely worth doing, because otherwise you can just end up with a bunch of people playing with unpainted stuff.
Yeah, I think everyone who does this has to like fundamentally like minis, right?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
If you don't like minis, this is an insane hobby to be involved in.
Exactly.
And you know how to help people get across the line. I mean, I know that's the thing Alec has thought about a lot.
Right.
Maybe we can get his thoughts on that next time too. But yeah, I think we're pretty aligned on where we think that should be, at least.
But like at the same time, I think it's kind of crazy. So requiring it for just like a regular level event is also kind of insane, because you're trying to grow your community, and requiring that painting can really turn off some new players and some new people that are getting into the game. They're just sort of learning how to play.
So, yeah, absolutely. It's like it's not a skill that people are born with, right?
Right. It's absolutely. And if you watch a bunch of YouTube videos on people painting, at least like you basically can get an idea of how to do it and how to do it quickly. There's a lot of slap chop videos and stuff like that, but there wasn't that 20 years ago, for example. And so it's something that people have to learn as part of this hobby, I feel. But at the same time, it's not something that they have to focus on necessarily. There are lots of quick tricks and ways to get armies painted quickly, and look at least okay on the tabletop. Or you can pay someone to paint some stuff, or I think one of the best ways early on for me to sort of getting into painting was like having you get your community together, or you get a couple of your friends over your house, and you all sit down and you just paint for a couple hours together, eat pizza, share stories.
Yeah, we've had fun when we've done that.
Yeah, and have fun. I definitely think that that's a good way to motivate painting, but having it be an absolute requirement so that either you're painted or you can't play is, I think, going too far. Unless it's at like a big convention.
It turns it into too much of a chore, right? Like it's.
I mean, but at the same time, like Adepticon, for example, Adepticon requires everyone that plays armies at their convention to be painted. You have to play with painted models at the convention. It's a rule of the convention, and I really love that. But there's a lot of people that don't.
Yeah, and I think a convention is the level where I'm just like okay with it, right?
Right.
Like, but yeah, you're like local steamroller, a narrative event. Yeah, they're like, don't want to push the painting too hard.
Mm-hmm. Agree with that.
All right, it's bedtime for Bonzo.
All right, so everybody, thank you very much for tuning in. If you have any questions, let us know if we helped you out. Let us know if we gave you ideas. Let us know if, interact with us and let us know, do you have questions about painting? Is there stuff you'd like us to talk about? Did we help you? Or me and Joe, being sort of high-level guys, and Alec having to leave me halfway through, did we not give you enough insight into how to start your army or work on your army, or how to approach painting? I really hope that we accomplished what we set out to do. Sorry that we're not going to be talking about 2025 and looking out 2026. We'll probably try and work that into
Gosh, we had a whole nother topic, didn't we? That's incredible.
I mean,
okay.
Maybe we try and do that I mean, you and I can talk about painting forever. So.
Yeah, apparently we can.
Yeah. But we'll definitely cover some of that in the next episode. Maybe we'll try and sneak one in before the update, but definitely expect a bunch of content from us and everybody else as the update gets closer and closer. I definitely think
wait.
we're going to see.
It's like booked on my calendar. I am so excited to do that podcast and just like.
So let me ask you about that real quick before we end. Do we want to try and do a release day, because it's going to come out on Wednesday the 21st? So do we want to try and do a stream or a release day episode, or do we want to give it a couple of days and then try and do something after that? Like, what's your opinion on that?
I think it is the most fun to do it right away when all our takes are hot and unmodified by the rest of the community's, bullshit groupthink. Like, absolutely. I think that is the most fun, and like that's the best way. Yeah. Will we have the best takes? No, we won't. But will we have the most fun and the most heat? Yes, that's
excitement.
When,
like just be babbling at the mouth about the stuff we want to talk about. Absolutely.
Yep, right? Crying, just sobbing on the mic for the world to see. Yes, we will be all of those things.
All right, so let's pencil it in and plan to get on Wednesday night, the 21st. Fire up the stream, fire up the recording, and do an episode that day. I think that is absolutely a great idea.
I mean, it's the highlight of my month, man. It's like it's one of those times when podcasting really like comes to a to the top of the heap, right?
I think so. I agree with you.
But this has been fun too. We should talk about painting more.
Yep.
I've really enjoyed it.
One of our most viral episodes was us discussing painting and our views on painting. So I agree with that.
Undercovered in the Warmachine community.
All right. Well, thank you very much, listener, for tuning in. You can find us in our we have links down in the description where you can find all of our various social media stuff. We absolutely have to get, like I say this every time, I have to get a bunch of models put up on Instagram. Unfortunately, a bunch of the models I took from the end of the Trench Crusade stuff last year, they weren't very, very good. The lighting wasn't very good, and so I haven't really been able to put any pictures of that stuff up. But we absolutely will get some stuff up on Instagram and have some more interaction with you in the near future, now that it's the new year.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you very much for tuning in. This has been Jay.
And Joe.
And Alec. We'll talk to you later. Thank you very much. Bye.